So by now I think most of you are familiar with the king tut and prince tut grass, but there also is a third one, and it's called baby tut. Now this Cyprus papyrus grass originally comes from the Nile in Egypt, where originally it was used for the first forms of paper. It has a lot of uses. It's one of the first known plants to be used for many things. But today we're going to plant this guy in the pond because it grew in the Nile. It's a water hog, just like the king tut and prince tut. And I've had this guy in the pond for a little bit to see how it adjusts, and it's absolutely done well. It's actually brought the level of this pond down about 2 inches over the course of a week. So that tells me it's gonna really love being in here. It loves the sun, and I love the great feather duster-like foliage on top here. And that's something that's really gonna accentuate the pond back here. Now, in order to get this guy in the pond, we're gonna be using an aquatic planting basket, and I also have some aquatic planting soil. Now this soil is safe for any fish, and it's safe for the water, but I'm gonna line the inside with some burlap to prevent any of that soil from floating into there, getting into the pump or anything like that, to keep this fountain going without any obstructions. Now the first thing I'm gonna do, like I said, is I'm just gonna place the burlap in here, just like that, and just cut around it. Now I've left just a little bit of slack, that way when I do fill it in, I can just top this over it to prevent any soil from coming out the top. I'm also gonna place some pond rocks on the top as well. Not too much, just loose enough for this baby tut to kind of expand if it wants to. As you can see, this is pretty dry. It dries up very quickly. That's why I want to put it in the water, because I know it soaks up that water just as fast as you water it. And then with that, I'm just gonna loosely put the burlap over this area here. That'll prevent some of that soil from coming up. And I'm also gonna get some pond rocks here that I'm gonna place over the top of this just to keep the burlap in place. All right, now with your pond stone, you wanna go ahead and rinse that off. If you just bought it or if you had it for some time already in the pond, you can use that. But if you have new pond stone, make sure you rinse that off quite nicely so you don't get any of that debris and dust to cloud up your water there. And again, like I said, I'm just gonna place a couple very loosely in there, not too compact to prevent the plant from actually spreading the way it wants to. And this is just, again, just to keep the burlap in place and keep the soil in place there. And that's it for that. Fairly easy to do, fairly easy to put in a pond or a water feature. Now these grasses will do great alongside a pond where they can soak up some of that water as well. Some of the bigger ones like the prince tut and the king tut, I've seen those in ponds before and they absolutely do wonderful. Now with the prince tut and king tut, you want to submerge it halfway. This one's going to go pretty much all the way, but only because I've had it in there for some time. It's trial and error. You may not want to soak it all the way depending on how much water you actually have. Now this is a small pond, so even if it does take up a lot of water, it's not going to rot or do anything crazy in there. Now, as you can see with the planting basket, it's not completely submerged. It's about halfway down, but it's enough to give this plant all the water it wants to take up. And again, this is a pond that will be refilled if it starts going low. but it's going to take up plenty of water to completely grow. It's going to have, like I said, this nice mounting effect, and we have, you know, kind of this serene area going back here. It's going to give it a nice look with the little fountain right here going on. Something that I really enjoyed. Like I said, I've had this here for a while, and I absolutely enjoyed the way it looks inside the pond. We have a water hyacinth as well, which that'll start blooming pretty soon. It's already multiplied, so very exciting to have stuff like this in the garden. And one of the most important things of having a water feature in a garden, at least for us back here, is that it's attracted a lot of insects, a lot of reptiles as well, to include the frogs. So we've had minimal mosquitoes, minimal slugs. We have a lot of hosta in here, so it's kept a lot of the slugs away from the hostas. I haven't seen really anything being eaten by slugs, so it's a great benefit to have here. And this will provide some shelter and some space for those frogs as well. And it's absolutely enjoyable to have back here. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Like I said, there's 3 of these. It's the king tut, prince tut, and the baby tut. And we had to try all 3 out in the garden this year. The baby tut, absolutely love the way it grows in mounds. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.